That night, the sky seemed to unleash all its fury upon the city. Torrential rain poured down onto rooftops, forming small rivers on the sidewalks and flooding the streets. In the dark corner of a narrow alley, a boy named Tommy stood huddled beneath a shabby awning. Tommy had no warm home, no family to return to when the weather turned cold. He was a street child, relying only on himself to endure the harshness of life. His clothes were soaked, his lips pale from the cold, and his stomach completely empty. Tommy was used to these cold, rainy nights, but hunger was something he could never get accustomed to. He curled up tightly, trying to find a bit of warmth from his frail body. His eyes were fixed on the street, watching shadows of people hurriedly passing by. No one stopped, no one cared about him. Suddenly, through the hazy rain, Tommy saw a well-dressed man holding a sleek black leather briefcase. The man was walking briskly across the street, seemingly rushing off to an important task. As a strong gust of wind blew, Tommy suddenly noticed something fall from the man's pocket, rolling across the sidewalk and stopping right in front of him. It was a leather wallet, looking quite thick. Tommy's heart raced as he realized that this might be his chance to escape his hunger. He picked up the wallet, glancing around to see if anyone was watching him. With trembling hands, he opened the wallet and was stunned to find a large amount of cash inside, along with several bank cards. His eyes widened, filled with mixed emotions. With this money, he could survive for several days, maybe even temporarily escape his life of wandering and hunger. But then, a voice echoed in his mind. It was Mr. David, the only person who had ever shown Tommy kindness when he was young. Tommy, always follow your conscience, never take what isn't yours. He closed his eyes, suppressing the temptation, then turned to look at the man gradually disappearing into the distance. A sudden impulse surged within him, and he shouted, "Sir, you dropped your wallet." His small voice, though faint, caused the man to stop and turn around, his eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and emotion. The man stopped, astonished to see a thin, scruffy boy holding out a leather wallet toward him. Bending down, he reached out, took the wallet, and offered a grateful smile. "Thank you. What's your name?" he asked, his voice deep and warm. The boy looked at him timidly, his eyes bright but full of shyness. "My name is Tommy," he replied softly. Tommy's gaze held a trace of fear, as if he had never been treated with kindness before. The man introduced himself as Dr. Benjamin, a successful and wealthy man working at the city's renowned hospital. He couldn't believe that a street child like Tommy would act with such integrity. Looking into the boy's eyes, Dr. Benjamin felt deeply moved and sympathetic. Those eyes held a sense of experience and resilience, reflecting someone who had faced many hardships. Noticing that the boy hadn't eaten dinner, Dr. Benjamin invited Tommy to a nearby cafe. Though feeling awkward, Tommy reluctantly nodded and the two stepped inside. When Tommy was invited to choose something from the menu, he hesitated, embarrassed because he could barely read. Sensing the situation, Dr. Benjamin gently chose a few simple dishes and placed them in front of Tommy. "Feel free to eat as much as you like," he said, and watched as the boy began eating. Tommy lowered his head and ate quickly, unable to hide his emotions as he felt the rare warmth and care he had never experienced before. After Tommy finished eating, Dr. Benjamin looked at him and asked about his life. Tommy spoke of his wandering days, of his only friend, Mr. David, an elderly man who had given him valuable advice. "He always told me to live honestly," Tommy said, his voice hoarse and somber. "He passed away, and since then, I've been alone." Dr. Benjamin listened, and his gaze gradually shifted from sympathy to determination. He offered to take Tommy to his home, at least for the night, to avoid the cold, and promised to help him build a better life. Tommy looked at Dr. Benjamin with hope mixed with hesitation in his eyes. "But I don't want to trouble you," he said softly. But Dr. Benjamin only smiled and gently encouraged him to trust. The two then got into a taxi, and throughout the ride home, Tommy gazed out at the city through the window, feeling for the first time that he wasn't alone in the anonymous crowd. When they arrived at Dr. Benjamin's spacious and cozy apartment, Tommy was awestruck. The rooms were bright, and every corner was clean and welcoming. Dr. Benjamin led him to the living room, prepared a clean set of clothes, and pointed him toward the bathroom. Tommy looked at the modern bathroom with a tub full of warm water, and his eyes lit up with happiness. As the warm water flowed over him, he felt as if he could wash away the cold and loneliness of his street life. After his bath, Tommy put on the new clothes and entered the living room, where Dr. Benjamin was waiting. He handed Tommy a warm glass of milk and told him to rest early. "We'll talk more tomorrow. Don't worry," he said. Tommy felt safer than he ever had before, and sleep quickly embraced him, bringing a peace he had never known. The next morning, Dr. Benjamin took Tommy for a walk around the neighborhood. They visited the park and the nearby library. He asked Tommy if he would like to study, and Tommy immediately nodded, his eyes shining with a thirst for knowledge. Dr. Benjamin felt reassured in his decision to help Tommy. He brought him to a school where Tommy would have the chance to learn and start a normal life. Initially, Tommy struggled to fit into his new environment. His classmates occasionally looked at him with surprise and a bit of disdain due to his appearance and background. However, Tommy didn't give up. He studied hard, working each day to improve himself. Tommy's intelligence and determination gradually earned him the respect of his teachers and classmates, and he began to feel accepted. As time went by, under Dr. Benjamin's guidance, Tommy not only excelled academically but also grew in character. Dr. Benjamin constantly taught him about compassion and the importance of helping others. These lessons gradually fostered a big dream within Tommy, to become a doctor like his adoptive father, to help those in need as he once was. When Tommy grew up and became a doctor, he decided to open a charity clinic, where he and his colleagues helped people in difficult situations without charging fees. He poured his heart into his work, hoping to bring joy and peace to those suffering. Tommy's charitable clinic became a place of hope for countless people, and he made a meaningful difference in the community he served. One day, while caring for patients at the clinic, Tommy unexpectedly encountered someone he never thought he'd see again: his birth mother. She came to him with a frail face, tired eyes filled with regret and sorrow. Tommy's heart pounded, unsure of how to react. His mother cried, saying she deeply regretted abandoning him and begged for a chance to make amends. Tommy felt his heart swell with mixed emotions. He had thought he'd let go of the past, forgotten the pain of being abandoned. But standing before his mother, the painful memories flooded back, making him feel choked with emotion. He looked at her, sensing her genuine remorse. After a long silence, he finally said, "I've learned to forgive, but to rebuild our relationship, we must start slowly, step by step." With tears welling up in her eyes, his mother nodded. She knew she would have to work hard to regain her son's trust, and in her heart, she silently thanked fate for giving her a second chance to make things right. Standing before the woman who had given him life, Tommy knew that forgiveness was not easy, but he also understood that compassion is an essential part of life. He couldn't change the past, but he could choose how he would live in the present and future. After a moment of silence, he said, "Mom, if you truly want to start over, I'll give you a chance. But we must take it slowly, step by step." The story of Tommy and Dr. Benjamin is a testament to the power of honesty and humanity. Tommy could have kept the wallet to escape poverty, but he chose the harder path, returning it to its rightful owner. This decision opened the door to a life-changing journey. Through Tommy's journey, we learn that kindness can come from the smallest actions. Each of us has the potential to inspire others, even with a single act of kindness. Remember, sometimes a small gesture can make a big difference in someone's life. Thank you for following this story. If Tommy's story touched your heart, please follow Life Stories 365 for more meaningful and heartfelt stories. Let's spread the beautiful values of life, helping one another find faith and hope amid challenges. We promise to bring you stories that touch the deepest parts of your heart and inspire you every day.